Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we're going to do a quick walkthrough of Battleship New Jersey's dental spaces. We've probably done this in the distant past, but it's been a while, and we've recently learned some new information from a discussion with Admiral Tucker when he was on board over the summer. So might be recovering some stuff, but we're also going to have some new information in here too. So, the first space of dental where we are right now is the dental waiting area. It's not a dental office if it doesn't have a waiting area. Even got a magazine rack. So, things on the ship, not at all different from being at home. So you transition around here, this door leads you to the berthing spaces where the dental techs would have lived. And so, everything over here was just their berthing. So they have probably the shortest commute of any of the sailors on board to get where they're going. Dental has a single doorway leading in at the forward end. And so the first place you see here is the dental lab. It's something of a workshop where, especially if you need like replacement teeth or any sort of work like that cast, you can get it made right here. One of Admiral Tucker's stories is in relation to this space. First off, he tells this story himself in an upcoming episode of Wetsu, which is going to be a new series airing very shortly, so keep an eye out for that. But in Wetsu, our executive director, Marshall Spavak, goes out and interviews some of our former crew members and other interesting folks related to the battleship. So for example, there's going to be episodes on Admiral Tucker and Admiral Reason coming up soon, and then some other ones have already been recorded as well. So in that episode, Admiral Tucker tells a story that I'm only going to do half justice to, but he was down in dental for some reason, and they were making something with the dental putty. So he's on some sort of mission in the Persian Gulf. Admiral Reason's on board. It's kind of a big deal. And there's a hole, I think it was in a lube oil tank, at the bottom of one of the engines. So if you're losing lube oil, the engine is going to overheat, it's going to grind up. That's a huge problem. And suffering an engineering casualty with 1/4 of your plant down is a huge problem. As Admiral Tucker says it, those sorts of issues get briefed in the 5-sided building. It's not great for his career if there's negative things being reported about his command. So he came to the dental office, and these battleships have 2 dental officers on board. You usually have 2 priests, 2 dentists, and 2 doctors, depending on what you need.
But managing the head and neck and airway of this particular casualty, I asked the dentist to do it because he was much more familiar with airway and head and neck stuff than I was. So it was always that kind of a team where dental was part of medical. Okay.
Anyway, one of the dentists comes down below and basically lays under the engine in the oil and everything else and applies this dental putty to it, and that's able to hold pressure enough for the ship to continue to operate until she can get back to the port and make normal repairs. That's actually where the saying Wetsu comes from. It's a saying that Admiral Tucker used for all of his commands. It means we eat this stuff up. And he uses it because with the crew of 1,600 men under his command, there is somebody there who, like, that is their thing if it breaks. And so he just had to think through, what are the skills that the men under my command have? He's like, oh, I just saw the dental guys using this weird putty that sets really quickly. Like, they have the skills to fix this. Nobody else is going to think to use a dentist to repair a machinery casualty, but it worked.
I left the shaft alley, came up to the top to basically the level of Broadway, and I hit my head on a winch that somebody had left down, and I automatically ducked because I knew that if I didn't, I would probably crack my head wide open. So I came down and smashed my left bucktooth on the hatch coming for the hatch down to the shaft alley. The only thing that was holding it together was the nerve. You could see the black nerve literally hanging in midair.
So that must have been painful.
So I went to the dental office, and the guy was a full commander that did the work. So he pulled it out, and he had a dental tech build me a temporary plate made out of plastic and wire and a false tooth. And then for once my mouth healed up, then they made a gold plate with a tooth, which I managed to drop at home and bend it. And it really wobbled back and forth in my mouth. When I came back, they took me over to the base, and I had a chief dental technician build me a permanent bridge, which I still have, from 1969.
Anyway, that sort of stuff would be used in here. They also did a lot of work like casting plaques out of the dental putty. And we've actually got in the museum's collection both plaques made using those molds and some of the rubber molds themselves. So those are some really cool things that we have. It's one of those things that there's not a plaque maker on the ship, but between the damage control men who work in the carpentry shop and the dentists who work with molds, they were able to put together these sorts of things. They didn't have to go buy them separately. So next up, you've got a dental chair where you get your checkup. Like, this looks like any other dental space that you might have been in, assuming you went to a dentist in the 1980s. These spaces were always the dental spaces on the Iowa-class battleships, but the way you're seeing them on New Jersey today is with 1980s era equipment. They go through and they update all the equipment when the ship is being reactivated. So you'd come in here, one of the dental technicians would do your cleaning prior to the dentist themselves coming in and working on you. Next door, we've got a second identical space with 1,600 guys on board, and with other smaller ships in our fleet probably not having their own dentists on board. The two dentists on Battleship New Jersey would have been servicing the entire Battleship battle group.
The dentist at the time, I'm 19 years old at the time, says, "Oh, you've got all 4 wisdom teeth, shiny and through the surface, looking great." I said, "Yep." He said, "We're going to go ahead and pull those out today." I said, "No, I don't want to do that. They're okay. I'm fine with them." He said, "No, they're just going to cause you grief in your life. You won't be able to floss right. You won't be able to get at them good to clean them. They're going to cause you problems later in life. We're just going to go ahead and take them today." And I said, "I'm going to pass on that, but thanks for the offer." He said, "All right, we'll have you on the next plane back to Great Lakes." I'm like, I'll go ahead and have the teeth pulled out.
And then finally, the last thing that you need is x-rays. So we've got a third area here that you can get work done, and we've got an x-ray machine. And this space is lead lined. You can see the lead cladding on the bulkheads. You can see the lead shield here for the x-ray operator to stand behind. And remember earlier, I mentioned that there was only one way in and out into dental. Well, to make it a tour route, we had to cut out part of the bulkhead. So come on through here. This is the lead door that used to be between the x-ray room and the rest of dental. And then we cut out this section of bulkhead to allow you to come out. And here we've got the great Dental Tech Caduceus logo right there. Berthing was through that door. And we've got 2 other spaces associated with dental storage and the dental lab in here. One of our coworkers, Mike, was a Navy dentist. He then worked on he works now on the Battleship as a tour guide and as a quarterdeck officer. He's one of the folks who greets you when you come on board. And he was able to get a bunch of period equipment that he used during his career to set up this space the way it would have been. So this had been a closed door, and he was able to restore it to the point that it's now an open door. The storage area, just some shelves. That was originally not a dental space, but was taken over by dental later on in the ship's career. So Battleship New Jersey really is a city at sea with everything that not only this ship's crew needs, but the other smaller ships around it. What are some other city at sea aspects you can think of? We've got a police force, we've got an airport on board, we've got dental, medical, you name it. List some other things on board that cities have that the Battleship also has. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about us and the channel. Thanks for watching.